Pretty much every smart home manufacturer has their own app to control their devices and their own little ecosystem they would like you to stay within. And Aqara is no exception. For most Wi-Fi based devices, this is pretty much necessary because you kind of need it to get the device to connect to the network and then import it into your HomeKit or Alexa or whatever. It also makes sense that the company wants to keep you within their ecosystem because they want you to, fill out the rest of your smart home with all of their devices, use their app for data collection, let's be honest, and all sorts of other features. The problem is most of the time these apps aren't very good, and the only thing that they should really be used for is to check for firmware updates every now and then. I recently reviewed the Aqara Smart Home Starter Kit, and I basically concluded that it was an excellent kit for a beginner to get to sort of figure out what a smart home would look like. But I also immediately imported everything into HomeKit and used it from a perspective of someone buying this to use with Siri and their iPhone. So today I want to take a look at what the Aqara Home App looks like, what its functionality is, and do you even need to then move on to the Home App and why. Hey folks, welcome back to Tech and More Tech. Like I said, today we're going to take a look at the Aqara Smart Home App, see if it's worth using automations in there, see if it's worth even really using at all and not just keeping there for firmware updates every now and then. If you want a more detailed written version of this, head on over to techmoretech.com or check the link in the description below. But let's get started with the app. And the first thing we're going to take a look at is the layout and the sort of UI UX of the app. So right off the bat, the Aqara app kind of looks like a combination of the Samsung SmartThings and the Apple Home app kind of blended together. And I think it does actually a really good job. It kind of looks like most other apps where you've got the sort of 5 tabs at the bottom, where you've got your sort of home, your accessories, your automations, your scenes, and your profile, which is kind of basically settings. The home tab of the app kind of basically gives you an overview of your home. At the top you've got your information, which kind of just tells you the state of your various sensors around your home. And then at the bottom you've got your control, which basically lets you kind of toggle your different devices, check their state, and also enable any sort of scenes that you have. I think if we compare this to the Home app, I think it does actually a little bit better of a job because the information at the top is actually way more relevant. It's actually more detailed as well, and also kind of easier to read. All of this is completely customizable. You can tap on the edit button in the top right, and then you can basically kind of choose what information you do want to see, which information you don't want to see, which devices you want to be able to quickly toggle there, etc. The accessories tab is the next one over, and this one kind of basically shows all of your accessories divided by the room that they are in. And I kind of like this better than both SmartThings and Apple because it's a very quick way of getting to each device that you want to get. That being said, you can't quickly toggle them from there. You have to select it and then you can change the state of the device. But then at the same time, it will give you more information about the device. You can kind of see the usage of a smart plug and all that kind of stuff as well, which is actually really nice. The next tab is the automations tab, and I will go into more detail on this in just a minute, but basically this is where you can toggle your automations on or off and add new ones. The next one is scenes. Scenes are kind of like automation, except they don't happen automatically. It's where you can set a TV scene to change the lights to a certain color, brightness, whatever. And because scenes are very simple, you kind of just decide what devices you want to include and what their state's going to be, and then you enable it. And the last one is profile. Profile is super straightforward. It's just your different settings. You can control different homes if you have multiple homes. And this is also where you can add or find out how to import all your devices to work with Alexa or Google Assistant as well. So now let's get to the most important part of the app, which in my opinion is the automations. Can you make good automations in here? And is it worth creating them in here or just migrating all the way to HomeKit? So creating more custom automations is very doable. It's quite flexible in what it can do, but it's also a little bit confusing. The interface right off the bat is basically straightforward. You've got your if and your then, kind of basically adding your conditions and the resulting action of those conditions. And I do like that if you select multiple conditions, so multiple things in the if statement, you can then toggle if it's all of these things are met or any of these things are met. So you can get really kind of creative with that, and I think that's a nice step because the Home app is a little bit trickier when it comes to those more detailed automations. I will say though, the absolute most confusing part was adding time restrictions to any of your automations. You actually have to swipe left as if you're going to delete the device or the input, and then there it had the option to add time sort of restrictions. And I think that was really dumb. That's a poor implementation of where that should be because I found it by accident. I can only imagine someone that's not even looking for it would basically never find it. I do also like that the delay function is kind of right there right off the bat, and you can implement it both in minutes and seconds. Unlike in the Home app where you have to go into shortcuts to make it, and then it's kind of only in seconds, which is kind of goofy, and most people aren't going to like it. Whereas in the Aqara app, it's right there. It's super easy to kind of figure out how to implement, so kudos to them there. You can also check if an automation has already been enabled, so it's kind of meta. So that's actually kind of useful because then you can check to, let's say, see if the come home automation has been enabled, which would kind of suggest that someone has already come home, in which case then you can kind of make it so that when you come home, it just changes the light to a different color or something like that. Which I think is actually a really nice implementation. What it doesn't appear to have is location-based automations, or at least I could not figure out how to get them in there. And that's kind of a big deal, because if you don't live alone, or if you don't have the exact same schedule as the person that you live with, you're gonna have to add a lot of time-based and a lot of really sort of strict parameters to get a lot of automations to work for the both of you. Whereas if you're location-based, well then it's just based off your phone and you don't have to worry about adding all these little stipulations here and there. But then there's also the more widespread and kind of the ultimate drawback to the Aqara app is that it's only compatible with other Aqara devices. You could theoretically live within the Aqara's little walled garden by just buying their devices, and they have plenty of them. They've got lights, they've got sensors, they've got pretty much everything, but there's a few things they don't have, which means that if you do want to buy something that's not Aqara, well, you can't add it to their app, which means you can't have it in their automations, which means now you basically have to move on to something bigger and more compatible, like the Home app or Alexa or any other number of other device applications. Then there's also the disadvantage that there is no voice assistant native compatibility, at least on the iPhone. We're talking about iPhone here for now. If you add everything to the Home app, well, Siri can control everything, and that's super useful. However, if you are just using the Aqara app, well, Siri can't talk to that. It also means that Siri can't trigger any scenes, can't control any devices. So that's a lot of functionality that you're losing out on. So what does all of this mean? Well, it basically means that if you want to have a full-on Aqara, smart home, you can do it for at least a little while, but eventually you will hit a wall. Eventually you will want to buy a device that Aqara doesn't make, which means you won't be able to load it into the Aqara app. You won't be able to add it to your automations or control it from there. So then it kind of begs the question of, if you're going to hit that wall eventually, why even hit it at all? Why not just immediately start with something like the Home app that can take everything, then you'll be good to go. As always, thank you so much for watching. My question for you guys this week is, what app do you use to control your smart home? Do you use the default app on your iPhone or your Android phone? Do you use a third-party app like me or If This and That? I'd love to know. Put those comments down below. If you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe button for plenty more videos to come. This one will probably be the last Aqara only kind of video for a little while, unless you guys have some suggestions down the road. I'm sure you will see many other devices in comparison videos to come. But until next time, see ya.